Uh, so it's really loud. Okay. My name is Anthony Farfan, and I'm in. What's his name? I'm in Dr. Whitlark's and Novakovich, Biblical Heritage. BIC class at Baylor University. My book is called Man Gone Down. 400 pages. Two people just dancing the night away. It's by Michael Thomas. He is a great man. Apparently this book's been noted for so many things that I've never heard of. Elizabeth Gaffney said, "What a writer and what a novel. Brilliant and riveting. Every page vibrates and with love and anger and hope." I wouldn't agree with her, but she's on the cover of the book. So the assignment is to... I'm not FaceTiming, I'm just recording. So I'll just cut out parts that I don't like.
What is it for?
It's for one of my classes. I have to read this book within 4 weeks and do a vlog each week about how much I've read. And then the second half, from the latter 4 weeks, we do more vlogs about how it relates to the ethical stuff we're talking about. This is juicy. This is like full of it. There's like so much going on in this thing that I'm just like, yeah. It has to deal with your vocation. So it was really, I was like, how do I find things about social work? So I just thought about like any social injustice that's in the world, and I decided to pick a book that has like 500 of them.
Oh, you get to pick your book?
I did.
Okay.
You could pick any book in the world. I was going to do Harry Potter, but he said that'd be a very long process considering there's 7 books, and I was like, I agree, I see your point. Because I want to do like familial abandonment and the effects it has. But it really does take 7 books for J.K. Rowling to talk about familial abandonment. This book's really good. It's really, you know, real, kind of. Because I was going to do it in my bed, but this light doesn't really give much. So I was like over here, like turn on all the lights, and I was like, see my face. I might actually use part of this because I think I explained what the project was better now telling you than I did when I had to start the video. Title 1, The Loser. So I was reading the beginning fourth of this book, this novel. It's very colloquial. It's taken in the perspective of a middle-aged African-American man who has 3 children. C is the oldest. X is the second oldest. So, and then girl. I don't think he has said her name yet. Nope. He said the name of their beta fish that lives in a tank in his room called Thomas Strawberry, but he hasn't named his daughter. Yeah. And just kind of just kicks off right in the middle of his life, talking about everyday stresses, eating something. He has his wife who is white. Her name is, I think, Claire. Yeah, her name's Claire. Still don't know the name of his daughter. The entire book literally occurs within like the first, or it occurs within 3 months so far. So them being a family of 5, it's fiction. It's like adult fiction. There's a lot of racial context, racism, things like that, language. He's very like a very pessimistic, depressed person. His family is in Delaware, Rhode Island. Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland. He's in one of the states in the Northeast. Goodbye to his family as they get in the car with the grandma, whose name is Edith. Again, naming a woman in his life that's not his daughter, so I still don't know her name. And they get packed into a car, and he's saying goodbye to them, and a little sad to see them leave, but glad too. And I'm like, what? You're glad they're leaving? Like, is this a joke? But it seems that he's really under a lot of stress. Like, he doesn't have a job anymore. He was a writer, graduated from somewhere. Now he has to find a way to pay for a place to stay, his children's tuition because they're enrolled in private school, and keep his wife happy and maintain appearances, and I'll pay for my tuition. Maybe should be on there if he's really trying to add some more stress to his life. I don't know, sometimes I think he's too cool for school, and it just doesn't make sense to me. What makes you think you're too cool for school? But then I realize there's a lot of pressure on him. Like, most people depressed. Like, I can only imagine how depressed people could get. Like, I can't only imagine. What am I saying? Where am I? Then there's interactions with one of his friends from high school. I don't know, and even the dialogue they have with each other, it's so, like, for lack of a better term, basic. It's so, hey, what you doing? Cool. What's going on? Can I come in? Oh, I was calling because beep beep, and I thought that beep, I think the beeping was meant for, like, censor words, but I don't know, he just has, like, a lot of, oh, Gavin, that's the friend of his name. I knew it, I just couldn't remember it, but has a degree from Harvard and drinks away his life. Gavin seems to be pretty important in his life. There used to be 4 of them. Shake, which they end up calling Shaky because he ended up developing schizophrenia. Yeah. Brian became a Buddhist monk. Then he went to, like, the Burmese jungle for a whole decade and became one with nature to understand the trueness of life. And then he came back as a stockbroker and died in the Twin Tower accident. Plane crash attack. He's really, really smart. He knows a lot about Freud and a lot about other theorists, and he's so passive. I don't understand. Okay, biggest pet peeve is passivity or passive aggressiveness. People are like, I can't even explain it. Oh, you're gonna wear that? But he's not even aggressive. Like, that aggressive would be a step out of what he needed to do more than his person. Aggression with an achievement to his personality. I feel like he just kind of, like, sits there and lets things happen. Yep. Yeah. There was this one girl, what's her name? He couldn't remember her name, so he was like, is it Jane or Jude or Julie or John or blah, 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 that he ended up running into as he was walking somewhere to do something something mundane and boring and run an errand or something. I feel like maybe I should have more empathy on this, considering this could be an actual case I work in the future. Right now I just went to rant, because this book is a lot. She's on the phone or something, and he's walking on the street to avoid people on the sidewalk, and I'm like, wow, how more evasive can you get? Do you just want to crawl in a hole and die? I feel like that would be an improvement. But honestly, he probably is depressed, and that's probably how he actually does feel. So I immediately regret the comment I just made. You just think, like, in a fiction book or novel that there would just be more excitement. Obviously, I picked a good one because this is like real life. Whoa. His family is up in the. Where do they live? It does not give you like setting clues. You just have to like middle school like literature class, and they would have like a little section on the side of the title page saying setting, da 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 da, small description, da 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 da. Make this vlog a lot easier. Nope. Is he in New York? I think he's from Boston. Currently, they live in New York, and his wife's mother lives in. Maine? Nope. Anyways, they're going to go visit their Edith's mom. No, Edith, the mother of Claire, who is the mother of these children, and this dude person, who never tells us his name, and no one ever tells us his name. So I kind of just want to call him Rob. His name is Cecile because they mentioned that his son's name, Cecile, is a family name because his father's name is Cecile, and his father's name is Cecile, whose father is probably named Cecile, which starts this whole trend of naming man Cecile, and now the youngest Cecile goes by C because he doesn't like being called Cecile. So praise God, there is a break in the cycle. Claire demands that he finds a way to get money by the time they get back from their trip, and he's gonna go up and visit because it'll be his birthday, and wants to be this, or the family wants him to be there. He thinks he's not really sure. He's so like, I don't even know. You know? Some would say he's going through the motions. I still don't understand. Clean clothes already. I still don't even know what going through the motions really means. I feel like what motions are you going through? Like, what are the motions? Is there a dance? I like dancing. I really just don't understand American idioms. I kind of just like let them go. Now, before I used to like pretend to know what they were talking about because the context was pretty simple to understand. But when it really came down to it, I was like, why would there be a needle in the haystack in the first place? It makes more sense for there to be a needle in the doctor's office, not in a haystack. Why? To understand the comparison, that it would be quite difficult to locate a needle among hay while his family is away. And he's trying to figure out a way to make income on meeting with all these friends and walking places and doing things that are really not important, which make reading 400 pages that much more exciting. He runs into this woman, some friend of the family or something. He ends up leaving someplace and is walking down the street, and all of a sudden this woman just like calls him out. Hey! Oh, hey! Oh, she's on her phone. Oh, hey! Completely like freaks him out. And this girl just like trails him down in the middle of the street while she's on the phone and like tries to get his attention, and then really starts like flirting with him and like. My first thought was like, ugh. You know his family, you know his life. You know he's married, like what you trying to do? Trying to mess up a marriage too? Like, go home to your life. Apparently her husband isn't in town or something, or she said that he wasn't around, but he was still alive, so like what's the difference, you know? And she like talks him into going to see her art exhibit that she got the very last minute, and it ends up all being like nude parts of her body, and he, because it's set in first, the book is in first person, so it's from the Cecile the second Cecile Jr. The main character Cecile. His thoughts were just like, what is this? Is her husband okay with this? Actually, one thing that probably I think will be a later point that will be made, or like a later issue that's probably much more deeply rooted. Because it mentioned it briefly, like he goes into weird flashbacks, like flashback. I'm a baby, and I see you, daddy, and this is me talking. From his perspective, I don't know. But there was a flashback to something, to a camp where he was found on the floor of a cabin, like abused and beat up, and the counselor was like, "What? You okay? Like, what's going on?" First of all, that counselor gotta go. If you were probably on Pine Cove or Chilia, one of the big, or Ozark or Kennecott or one of these big Christian camps, that if you saw a kid on the ground, you'd be like, "Lord Jesus, we're talking now to you." Or also going to get more help. Like this person is not okay. There's blood. He is bruised, and he's scared of me talking to him. I need more help. I need the camp director. I need Oprah. I need Beyonce. I need someone who can really just influence this man's life right now. That didn't happen. The counselor just kind of like stared at him and like, "You okay? You doing okay? Want a cola? Want some lemonade? Want to go sing about Jesus?" Like, stop. Like, obviously there's something didn't go right here. He was just thinking, he's looking around the pictures and was like, wow, these things are so vivid, explicit, and he managed to make a comment about one of them. It's like, wow, that doesn't really look like her natural color. So this woman's also black. And I think I mentioned that they do have known each other for a while, from a distance, kind of. I don't really know. And he says she is attractive. She does have some nice curves, and she has a nice little way she walks and talks on the phone and interrupts marriages and gets involved in other people's lives without them asking. He noticed one of the pictures that was of her really close to a very popular sexual organ found on a man, of a white person. So as he sees this piece of art, this picture, he does note that he's like, "Wow, I never really thought that. Does that really look like her? She might have photoshopped this or something." Got a Kinko's and like a little brush and like scrubbing here and there, got rid of certain parts of her body or something. But then he also noted the other component of the picture as perfect. So undoubtedly there's probably more to talk about that correlate with his camp experience and his current perspective or view of sexuality. So I don't know. I haven't finished this book. I don't even know what the rest of it is. So after they go to once they're in the gallery where her exhibit is, a lot of people there are like, what he said, like approving of their relationship, like two black people together. And like once they see each other together and they approve, and then they move out of the way so they can walk through the crowd. At first I was like, okay, you're reading a little too much into it. But then I thought, that's so true. If you see, like in his normal relationship, the amount of social stress that probably happens with that, because he's a black man who married a white woman and has 3 children with. One, the eldest, who looks like an exact combination of both, and then was it X? Yeah, and then the second child, his boy, looks just like the father, and then the girl looks like the mother. So he was already mentioning that there was a lot of racial pressure with his actual family, the people he loves. And so then seeing that there's acceptance because he's with a black woman at the moment, they're allowed together. I mean, technically they are because they're in a social event together, but like they're not like romantically involved or engaged. It makes it easier for him. So that's kind of going in his head, and then they leave. They go to the next door is a bar, and this girl's like all about getting that martini, and he's like, "I'll have some water." No, it wasn't water. It was It was Coke. Of course, she was like fawning over like his physique and how he's so athletic looking, and how he was athletic. I mean, he played sports in high school and some in college, but whatever floats his boat. Floats his goat. Totes my boat. But then all of a sudden, this girl, again, going back to this woman that has taken him to a bar and started drinking too many martinis. You. They start talking about their careers, and then she asks them about telling him a story. Tell him a story because they're so close. They can just talk about stories, and that's what he does for a living. And if he does it for a living, then are so. So then he starts telling a story about. Good. He's telling her a story about like a party that he went to with Gavin in high school. He and Gavin went to high school. They went to a party together, and they went. It was like some not a frat house, but like rich white boys. There's so much potential in your stories. I just love every minute of it. They both, Gavin and Cecile, or Junior, I don't know. Gavin and main character were chilling like on a balcony or something, just drinking, and there are these girls in the bottom, and Gavin was like calling them out on being so like shallow and dumb. And they were asking like, where are you going? Oh, he went to Clemson. Gavin went to Clemson, and then he went to Harvard. And they didn't say where our main character went. Gavin kept on teasing the girls and like making fun of them, and they're just like, I'm not having it, and went inside or something. And then all of a sudden, like this group of white guys came out and just like pinned or were approaching Gavin, and Gavin was like getting in a fighting stance, and I don't know what our main character was doing. Like he was just like, "It's gonna let it happen," and then Gavin was like, "Guys, like what's the problem?" And they're like, "Dude, yo, you took our stuff, man." Oh, that's not really white boyish, is it? Dude, you like stole it, bro? Yeah, bro, dude, you like took all of our stuff, give it back. It's like, what stuff? And I like beer, I like drinks and stuff. And he was like, no. He like threw it off the edge and then tried running for it. And then there was like a small little brawl. No one looked to. I don't know what Cecile Jr. thing was doing. He was just. It did say that all of a sudden they start questioning him, like, where'd you put the stuff? What do you do with it? Or what's he gonna do? And then they didn't pursue him because they were cautious of people of his color and size and build, that he was pretty safe. But not Gavin, that poor white boy. Mm-mm. He didn't get very far when there were 10 guys surrounding him asking about their alcohol. Something you don't do. And they were beating him up, and I think that was the end of the story. He kept on getting distracted by the TVs that were going on behind the bar, because I think they were sitting in a booth in the bar. So then the actual bar, at the bar, had TVs at the bar in the bar, at the bar, and then he would get so distracted whenever he would see the TVs change that were at the bar, that were in the bar, that decided to sell alcohol and makes it a bar. Glad they got that covered. Delilah's her name. She gave him her card, and it said like Delilah Trent Usher, fine artist. Although she only got that gig because somebody else dropped out of the exhibit like the day before or something. When he got to her apartment, she was like, really hard to explain. Then it flashes back to him being with his family at his mother-in-law's, where they're all having to get ready because some people are coming to visit and stuff. But it didn't give a good moment with like him and his oldest son, who ended up becoming a little bit more darker from the rest of his siblings. What's really interesting was when he started talking about his father. That was interesting. His father was kind of abandoned him. As our main character got older, Dad would be less present, and then ended up just disappearing completely. So we have some huge flashback to whenever he was tiny, and his father would give him some of his beer to drink before his mom got home, and start talking about Red Sox and then that helps everyone else appreciate what a good country they come to and how they are. And then it flashes forward to present time, and Cecile kind of just reflects about it, like this is not life. Like no one cares about this anymore. Like I was saying, his children don't. Still all kind of in the same conditions. No money, looking for a job. Both parents, family of five, 3 children, 2 parents, and barely making it. But now he's kind of living with some random dude. I mean, there's way more, but I don't think there's any more worth telling in this video. So